Thank you, Yatsu, and thank you to all of the speakers for giving us their presentations about the different materials. I think we'll have a few opportunity for a few bits of Q&A. We have some microphone ushers kind of roaming down the side. Do anyone have any particular questions that they would like to ask the panelists? Otherwise, I have a few. Okay, maybe I'll kick it off and then see if it spurs any ideas. So one thing that I think what came across a little bit was that aluminium is gaining weight in the vehicle with less and less steel because of its certain properties. And I guess I'm wondering from an auto OEM perspective, are they willing to? What kind of premium are they willing to pay for these more advanced materials? And is the cost of aluminium, does it justify that increase in performance?
Well, first of all, when cars were or are made exclusively with steel, you can see that in the last 25 years, for around the same price of a car, you have now 6 or 8 airbags, you have MP3 and hi-fi stereo system, you have ABS, ASR, lots of systems. Why? Because you are designing the car in a better way, so you are allowed to introduce more technologies into the car. When you design the body or the structure with aluminum or with composites, you start designing those functions within the car in a way that you are able to design it efficiently and make that part with a similar cost to the equivalent of steel, because otherwise you could not use it. So sometimes, for example, an aluminum part can replace 3 parts of steel, or a composite part can replace 5 parts of steel. That's the way that new technologies or new materials are being introduced in the vehicle, replacing not just equivalent in another material, but an equivalent of a sub-assemblies in many cases that is replaced through one. Yeah.
I am sorry, but also regarding from a steel point of view, regarding to the new ultra high strength steel from 1,200 to 1,500 megapascals, you can also replace 3 or 4 components to one component. And also regarding to the final assembly for mass production, the mass production vehicles, you need a very automatized manufacturers, and for aluminum, the final adjustment of the body must be made by hand-on. So I think the cost reduction virtually maybe makes sense, but at the end, for mass production, our vehicle manufacturers wants to go to automatized lines, and it means very automatized factories of the future with new processes to produce between 3,000 or 3,500 vehicles per day, which is a high volume production. And steel is more adaptable to joining technologies.
And there's an aspect, it's not linked to our activity, but it's also important to understand that is the content of the materials in a vehicle, like in any other products, is also linked to the availability of that material in your market. Yeah. So what happens that if we want to use steel for any product, we have lots of plants producing steel all over the world. And I can buy steel anywhere in Europe, anywhere in India, anywhere in America, anywhere in China. When you talk about aluminum, or aluminum stampings in this case, there are some companies in Germany that have been exporting aluminum coils to North America or to China, because until now there were not availability of those coils in those regions. And now they are starting to invest in plants and facilities that will produce aluminum coils, either for the American market or for the Chinese market. So now the American or Chinese OEMs can look at the aluminum in a different way, because now they have it in their markets. They can think of introducing more components of aluminum because now the coils are available. And until now, there was simply no capacity in the market. Yeah? So the electric vehicle will grow in some times, because right now we go to the dealers and there is no EVs. With aluminum, we have already started some years ago, but still there is not the capacity we will see in 10 years' time with around all the regions to use more aluminum. So it takes some time, yeah?
Okay, I only want to say I have a number by heart. I think that is, to answer exactly the question, I don't know sure it's $1 on what euro, but each kilo of weight saving must be paid €1 more, what $1 more, as reference. It depends of the kind of, or it depends of the part of the car. From body in white, I think that is 1, and from the chassis and this kind of more non-suspensive material, 5, 10. Okay.
Well, in fact, it's 2 questions, but the first one is, from your point of view, may I assume that there is space for, the application of these materials in other fields apart from automotive sector? That I want to know what's your feeling about that. And I would like to know what's your feeling about the space for entrepreneurs to maybe work a little bit more in fields related to your sector, because I think that we are very used to listening to entrepreneurs in the energy efficiency field and in ICT and things like that. And I have the feeling that there is a big space for market and for business and for new technologies in this sector, and would like to know what is your feeling about these 2 aspects.
Well, in our case, I did not present the group, but CI has 68 plants all over the world. We have achieved this in 15 years, and I think that shows the possibilities you have in the automotive field to grow. Of course, we see that we are not selling as many cars as we would like in Europe, but if you are global, you are seeing growth in North America, in South America, in Russia, in India, in China. So for a global group, there are lots of possibilities to grow. If somebody wants to enter this field, just has to choose the right markets. But the automotive business is still growing. In one of the slides I presented, we even mentioned that we're investing in Russia. So I think it's in aluminum. So even in those markets where still not a big offering is available, we bet also on that. So at least from our perspective, automotive business shows great potential. Yeah.
So in my opinion, about entrepreneurs and not so huge investors, because the big players are there and the automotive market is intensive in money, is very intensive in money. I think that the composite world has a very concrete challenge to be solved without not so huge investment. I am talking about, for example, entrepreneurs can do a machine to mix the new fibers, for example, to make the textiles things, or this not see the automotive market as a global sector, a global challenge, because the investors should be the Bank of Europe minimum. They are talking about a very, very huge amount of money, but to solve a niche technology, but in composite, because it's a new one, so there are a lot of things to do. We're talking about any kind of fluency of the material in the ejector machine, any kind of. And what about to use the same technology in other sectors? We have some of our own experiences to renewable energies. It's possible, but as my colleague says, the processes are here the key. We should use the mass productions trying to be competitive. Automotive has some numbers, some figures, very big figures, which allow us to use intensive investments in production. So any new sector, for example, I don't know, to aeronautical, you should have into account that our investments are huge to transform this kind of materials. Material is there, as Frances says, is of course, to use exactly in each region what they are looking for, but the issue is that to have business, you have to a big volume to amortize all of the investments.
Just last remark. I mean, if AIC, the Automotive Intelligence Center, mission is to support new projects through cooperations, is because we strongly believe that the range of future possibilities and potential solutions for the sector is so wide, so broad, that we need to welcome new stakeholders, new agents, let's say, entrepreneurs, investors, and experts from other sectors in order to try to gain competitiveness as quick as possible, right? So it's open innovation, what we strongly believe is one of the key pillars, whereas other different technologies and different processes have to be based in order to react quickly to what society is demanding.